I'm Jasmine Nilly, your life and business catalyst and your spending strategist in today's Money Monday. And I wanted to do a quick tutorial about why it's so important to buy houses in the right order, especially if you're interested in investment property. So, I've been speaking to a lot of people who are engaged, about to get engaged, want to get engaged, or about to get married. And my recommendation is always, if you have any interest whatsoever in being a landlord, that you consider starting out with your first property as something that is an investment for the future. So that means not making long term decisions with short term vision. So when you're buying a house and you're just getting together, single family houses are so sexy and attractive. Hands down. Me and my husband even almost got sidetracked and bought a single family the first time we were buying a house. But we got back on track and we did buy a multifamily. So my recommendations are that you buy a 4-family, a 3-family, a 2-family, and then a 1-family. You can do whatever you want, but these are my recommendations. This is how you can get the most doors meaning units of apartments, for the cheapest amount of money in terms of down payment. Now, cash is king, and you never want to give away your cash, because typically when you're first starting out, you have lived and given a part of your life away to get the cash that you have. So you want to make sure that you allow that cash to multiply as much as possible the easiest way, and not by giving it to the bank. So here's an example for you. So the multifamily way that I just explained is also the best way because it requires the least amount of cash out of your pocket. Now, if you go ahead and decide to not take my advice, which is entirely up to you, and you decide that you want to buy a single family first, you can do that. That's your choice. But after you buy that single family, know that you entering into the real estate game is going to cost you a whole lot more cash. And you could have avoided that if you just delayed gratification a little bit. The things that people love about single family homes are they don't want to necessarily live with tenants. They want the American dream, the picket fence, the big yard, the pool. They want all these things that really don't mean anything at the end of the day. They're not putting money in your pocket. But people have a right to want those things, and there's technically nothing wrong with wanting those things. But when you get those things out of order, you're actually taking money out of your pocket. Because the one thing the bank doesn't allow you to do, it doesn't allow you to buy a single family and then go into a multifamily house at the same cost. So when you buy the single family, they're not going to allow you to buy a multifamily after that unless you're going to put 20 to 25% down. So anyways, quick math for us. So I created a little chart for us. Hopefully you can see that. So bottom line is, over here, it shows you if you do things my way, it'll cost you $28,500 out of pocket for down payments to get yourself 10 doors. If you do things by following potentially your ego or what other people think, you're going to end up on this side. You'll end up with 10 doors, but it's actually going to cost you way more money. So here's how this breaks down. If you buy a 4-family and it costs $250,000, you come to the table with $7,500 in down payment money. And I'm estimating you're going to be able to get this loan with 3% down. And let's just say it's perfect world. Every loan you get is going to be 3% down on the multifamily side. But when you buy a 4-family first, come to the table with $7,500 for down payment. Then you get to wait a couple of years because you might be using your first-time home buyer credit, and there's typically stipulations in the contract that state you got to live there for 3 years. Let me tell you, 3 years goes by really fast. I've done it. Next, you go buy your next house. It's a 3-family. And guess what? You get to come to the table again with 3% because they're not looking at you as an investor particularly. They're looking at you as just buying another house. So the reason that it's more allowable is because you went from a 4 to a 3. So it looks like it's for you. You want to live there. And they might ask you for a letter to say, well, how come you're buying a 4-family to a 3-family? And then you can say, because I want more room, I want more space, I want to live with less people. This one's the one I'm buying now has a bigger yard, whatever the case may be. You can argue that. And so the 3-family costs you $7,500. Then you decide to go get a 2-family. Again, same argument. I want to live with less people. I want to feel like I'm owning more of a single family home. And that time you're going to buy it for $200,000, and so you come to the table with $6,000. Again, another 3%. Why? Because it's looking at you as the personal buyer that's going to live in it. You're going to habitate in it. Then at this point, you say, I want to go get my one family, because the bank's typically not going to let you go jump into another two family unless there's a solid argument. And a solid argument could be the two family that I bought, it was 800 square feet on each unit, and I found one that has 1,600 square feet in each unit, and that'll be more comfortable and sufficient for my family to live in. And so you could essentially get another two family that way, but after that you're probably done until you go into a one family, because the bank also understands how this works. So let's say then you go into a one family and you buy that for $250,000. Okay, you come to the table with $7,500. Well, guess what? After you bought those four houses and you bought it with only having to come to the table with 3% down, you're only going to have come to the table for all of those houses for a total amount of $28,500. So right there. Now, if you go the other way, now let's listen to these numbers. You decided that you thought you wanted a multifamily house, but maybe you fell in love with a single family house. So you bought that single family house. It costed $250,000. So you came to the table with $7,500, pretty equal to the other side. But this is where the game changes. Because you bought that first family, the bank is going to look at any request for another house that is a multifamily as though you're an investor. And because they're looking at you as an investor at this point, you have to come to the table with 20%. Some banks, 25%. I wouldn't recommend going the banks with 25%. I'd recommend going with the ones for 20% because cash is king. You don't want to be giving your cash away. So then you decided to buy a four family at $250,000. Well, because you got to come to the table with 20%, guess how much money you have to come to the table with? $50,000. Same thing when you decide to go then into the three family house. $50,000 again. Then you go into the two family at $200,000. So the down payment would be $40,000 because again, it's 20%. So at the end of it, 10 doors is going to cost you $147,000. All because you decided to do things backwards. Now, if that's the way you want to do it, that's perfectly fine. But I just wanted you to see the numbers. If you do it the way that I recommend, you're going to have way more cash in your pocket to do the things that you really want to do. Not only that, but you're actually going to be getting more money in your pocket because you'll be collecting rental income. And that's for a whole nother video, and we'll run down an example of how buying the houses this way, what exactly it equates to. But anyways, it's Money Monday, and I wanted to give you this example, especially if you're about to walk down that aisle. Before you walk down the aisle, both of you should buy a four family, if it's possible. You should be living separate for a little while and living in those houses independently, and then you choose to live in one together. So anyways, understand the rules of your contracts for the houses that you buy so that you can understand how you should be proceeding. But anyways, it's Money Monday. I hope this blesses you, and I hope you really get the concept of the numbers. It's all about the numbers. Which side do you want to be on? If you got any interest in being a landlord, by all means, be on the multifamily side.